Hi, welcome back to Healthy Happy Hour. This is Angela Berg here at Cure for the Kids Foundation, back with another episode to dig a little deeper into pain response. I just want to bring back up the visual aid we used about acute pain so that you know how the system is supposed to work, that electrical activity at baseline, and then that injury happens or you're exposed to a hot touch or something that sends a sharp signal up to say, whoa, stop, something's going to hurt us. And that is how the pain signaling system is meant to be. So say it got hit on your toe, the signal goes up to the brain goes, hey, move that. It happens really quick. So if you think about touching a hot stove, it sends the signal up and the signal comes back, move your hand, and you jump. So it's a pretty quick system, but what I really want to expand on today is chronic pain. What happens when you get stuck up here and it doesn't return to its baseline? Some people used to think, oh, this is just going to be the new normal and you have to live with something like chronic pain or fibromyalgia. And we've learned a lot more in research over the last 5 years. And so I want to share a little more about the things that go into the pain cycles that we can get into when we have these prolonged. I had mentioned in the other pain episode that we did that your neurochemicals, obviously there is a whole lot of nerve tissue in our body, miles and miles of nerve tissue. They're not only affected by physical touch, pain, heat, cold, they're responsible for all those things, but they're also manipulated and responsive to our own neurochemicals. So it's very easy to put it together that it's the mind-body connection, because it is able to sense things, your brain responds to them. Sometimes sensing these things when they go on for long periods of time give us a lot of anxiety. When you have things like feelings of anxiousness, your body creates a lot more neuroirritant chemicals, which are going to make that nervous system be much more irritable or react to things that maybe it wouldn't normally react to, like light touch. So it's important to understand how that mind-body connection. I know a lot of people think that when they have chronic pain, they're hearing from medical providers, it's all in your head. I tell people it's in your head because our control center is in there. That's the only part of it being in your head. What is in our head, though, in the way that we traditionally think, is the control that our mind has over how our body is responding and feeling. And so when we get into a prolonged cycle of not feeling well, chronic illness, not recovering from an injury, and we add in that we get mood swings, poor appetite, problems with our memory, trouble concentrating, not sleeping well, having depression, we get in this whole cycle then, and the things that go into that are things that if we don't have an explanation or we don't like the explanation, if we have a lot of stress in the family or the family dynamic, is there treatments that are actually causing us symptoms that are stressing us more? What do we know? What don't we know? If we don't know, there's a lot of times fear that's in there. Sometimes our job will add, or school will add extra stress. And then there's also beliefs. If we start to have self-talk where we really talk about believing that we're never going to feel better, that just adds into this cycle where we get more depression, we get more release of these chemicals. Our bodies our body responds by becoming sore, tired. We're deconditioned because we start refraining from normal physical activity. We walk less. We become much more sensitive, and not talking about just emotionally, the tissues become sensitive, sometimes even to the lightest touch. A touch like this on an arm should not be painful, and there are many times when this looped cycle keeps going, that lightest touch becomes very painful. So it's important to know that I like this visual, but I also use a lot of times the iceberg. When you talk about if this is water, and the tip of the iceberg, if you've ever seen it, is very small. What you see under the water, the behind the scenes, what is internal to us, is a whole lot bigger. And it includes things like lack of sleep, or stressors, other things. It's a whole feedback loop and can be very powerful. Our bodies are very powerful. They can heal themselves if we guide them and support all of our body systems in a way to do that. And even this nerve signaling system, when it goes out of whack, we like to say it gets hijacked. Like a computer virus attacks your computer, your nervous system is like the software of your computer. When the virus goes in, it hijacks the software. When this chronic pain goes on and our chemical balance is out of whack, our whole life is out of whack, our normal homeostasis, not just in our physical being, but in our mental being, is off. That is still an imbalance of homeostasis and affects our ability to recover. What we do know in the last 5 years is lots of studies have shown that there is hope and there is ways to retrain that nerve signaling system to begin to recognize, instead of how that system takes us to normally, if you feel that sensation of pain, you take a right turn and stop doing that. But when we know that there is no actual damage or harm coming to the body, and the signaling system is hijacked and needs to relearn how to function normally, we need to start taking it to a left turn where we go ahead and do it anyway, which is the hardest lesson ever. And I think particularly for parents not wanting to see their children in pain, it's really hard to think moving hurts, but you have to move anyway. And actually, lots and lots of studies are showing us that the more aggressive we are at keeping the body moving and teaching that system, say like it's studying for a test, we want you to get back to where your test is, that damage is happening, you take that right turn, not that you're able to be sensing appropriately. We want it sensing appropriately, so it says take a right turn, stop doing, pull back, avoid that. That is what a normal system is, and that's our normal tendency. So chronic pain requires a lot of hard work, not medications. We know that chemically wise and medication wise, we don't have medications that help chronic pain. People will tell you, they come in the clinic and say, Tylenol and Motrin don't do anything. Prior to opioids becoming so restricted, people oftentimes would end up in an emergency room visit and get opioids, and would find even that that's not helpful. It's not helpful because the mechanism with which those medications work is not what's in play here. It's a hijacked, dysfunctional system, and those medications don't help that. The only thing that we know that helps that is keeping your body moving. Remember, a body in motion stays in motion. The more you restrict yourself, you get deconditioned, and the cycle just grows bigger and bigger and bigger, that indicating that underwater part of the iceberg is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and harder to chip away at if we're not able to keep the body moving. It's important that you give your mind support during this, meaning that there's lots of studies out there showing that CBT therapy with a talk therapist or psychologist is extremely helpful. The short, sweet definition of what that is cognitive behavioral therapy, is it gives you the tools of how you're going to self-talk and motivate yourself to take that left turn and do it anyway. When you know that your body's not actually being harmed, it's giving you the things like positive affirmations that you're going to say to yourself. I can do hard things. I can get through this. Only 3 more to go if you're counting reps for something that you're doing. But it takes physical therapy, occupational therapy. You've got to desensitize those nerves. You've got to keep that body moving. And we here at Cure for the Kids are in the process of working with really smart colleagues across the country to develop a program here for our adolescents that are really struggling with this, and we don't have all the pieces that they need in the community. So we're really trying to pull together a program here that'll be modeled after some really great programs like Children's of Philadelphia and Boston Children's. We have great colleagues that have been willing to share with us and help educate us on how we might adapt those kind of services that are available there that we don't have here, so that we can create them in the Cure for the Kids model of care. So stay tuned for that soon. I hope you found this information helpful, understanding that there is a difference between acute and chronic pain, and it doesn't mean you're crazy. It means the signaling system went on so long it lost control of itself and it's been hijacked. And the good news is there are ways to fix it, and but it's a lot of hard work and a lot of services that you have to be willing to focus on healing your body to make it happen. And we will be bringing you more information as we develop this program. We've got a lot of community partners, including the payer system here, who are very motivated to be able to help our community make it better for adolescents with chronic pain conditions such as CRPS, fibromyalgia, and AMPS. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more information, and we thank you for joining us today.
It's gonna save the national health. Blame it on the national health. It's the state of the national